Today we're going to be doing a countdown of our top 5 games of 2024 so far. We're going to be counting down our top 5 games. We're going to go back and forth of basically our top 5 games of this year.
That we played so far, right?
That we played so far in our entire lives. Maybe?
Mine are much more recent.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
that
no.
we played this year.
No, okay. Well, I had 1998 Monopoly in there, but I guess I'll take that out.
Would anyone put that in their top 5?
If you play with the real rules, supposedly it's a better game. That's what they keep saying.
What are the real rules?
I don't know. Every time you play Monopoly, someone goes, well, you should actually play the real rules. And I don't know what they're talking about, but it makes it sound like this great conspiracy that there's actually better rules out there somewhere.
Wow, sounds like we need to discuss that in the Discord.
Yeah, we should. And you should go join the Discord. The link is down below. All right.
For more rules discussion on any type of board game.
Including 1998 Monopoly.
Or, the more popular Marvel Champions.
Now we don't talk about that.
So we're going to start at number 5, which is our quote-unquote least favorite, but...
Or fifth favorite.
Fifth favorite, that's a much better way to say it. And work our way back up to number 1, which will be our top game that we have played.
And we're each having a list. So
Yes.
it's not combined. It's her favorite, my favorite. So.
And we have not shown each other our lists.
Yeah.
So we'll also be a surprise to each other what we're picking as well. So we will be judging each other's lists as well.
You judge us.
As you judge us. Yeah. So much judging going on. I can't wait for the comments to tell us how wrong we are.
Yeah, that's right. We'll give them something to talk about. And while you're down there, make sure you hit like and subscribe. All right, so let us start with number 5.
So we're starting with number 5 from D20.
Yeah, so I'm pretty sure this game, since I had to cross off 1998 Monopoly, I'm pretty sure that this game will actually be on your list as well.
Ooh, on mine?
Yeah.
I guess as the only other person here?
Yeah, or maybe your list at home. Let me know your list down below in the comments as well.
That's
Just
a good idea.
flood
I
comments.
want to see everyone else's too.
Yeah, right? What's your top 5 games of this year?
Then we can judge you.
That's really the secret, is we can all just judge each other completely. So, all right, my number 5 is a new to me game.
Okay. They're all new to me on my list.
Well, that's why it's new to me. It's a new to me game. It was introduced by a viewer, and it's absolutely phenomenal, and that is Unmatched. It is my number 5.
It's number 5?
Yes. I have 4 games better than Unmatched.
Oh, that's sad.
Yeah. It's a really good game. So for those,
but that's number 5.
which is really good. I've played thousands of games yesterday, and it's number 5. So that's really good. So for those that don't know, Unmatched is basically an asymmetrical dueling game where you get a deck of cards. You have a little guy on the table that moves around on the map. Each box is its own kind of thing where it has different themes of literary heroes or like people from Marvel or whatever else. Jurassic Park that we'll probably never have. Bruce Lee. And you can move those little meeples around, and you basically duel each other. You battle each other, and you try to win by taking out their hit points. And the person once the person who hits 0 hit points loses the game, essentially. So it's a really fun game, and I like the fact that it mixes and matches so much that you don't need to buy a core box and to invest heavy amounts of money into it. You will, because you're going to be addicted to the game, but to just get into the game, it's like a $25 box or whatever.
True.
And it's a lot of fun.
And it's often on sale.
Sale.
That helps.
And it's just every time we've played it, each of the heroes have felt so different and so unique. And it's a really cool feeling that I feel like you don't get in a lot of versus games.
Fair enough. Yeah.
Really, a really big fan of that game. So anyway, number 5, Unmatched.
Okay. So it's my turn?
It's your turn. Unmatched.
All right. I feel like you built up to it.
You got to build up to it. You got to build suspense. Yeah.
Okay, so this game is not new to me recently, or this year, I should say, which is rare for me since so many of them were more recently acquired tastes. I'm trying to think when we first played it. It was probably years ago, and I think it was my first introduction into a deck building card game, and it is Hero Realms.
Great game. Yeah, absolutely phenomenal.
I know I adored this game when we first played it, and probably to your surprise that I actually enjoyed deck building game so much and wanted to play it a lot. So it is it's a fantasy-based deck building game, and you're able to pick which type of character you want to play. So it could be a thief, it could be a wizard, it could be a rogue, an assassin. So there's a couple different like generic characters that you can choose to play, and then you have a standard deck of like gold and attack, and then using kind of as you build your deck, you can buy additional characters or additional events and things from this market. So you kind of just continue to build your deck throughout the game, and similarly to Unmatched, your objective is to take out the health of the person that you are playing. So I think I was also fairly good at this when we started playing.
Yeah, I lost all the time, constantly.
It's a theme about which games I like is how good I am at them.
And you can see how good she is if you head over to twitch.tv/D20 Woodworking, hit the follow button and watch us live.
Yeah, I think ironically the one game we played on stream I lost though.
Yeah.
Which really made me angry.
Yeah, so we should probably play again.
But the other nice thing is, so you can play it as a versus game, but there also is the ability to play it as a co-op. So where you fight like the one person, I think it was a dragon that we fought the one time.
You can,
it was like
yeah,
the
I'm pretty
ultimate
sure.
boss, which was pretty neat. So you're actually working together to fight this, larger enemy, which is fun for couples. Probably good for marriages.
Probably good for marriages.
That you're not just always playing against each other. But yeah, it's pretty simple as well. It was pretty easy to learn, and it kind of felt like in the world of D&D a little bit with those types of characters and how you build them. But yeah, it's just a lot of fun and a pretty simple game. You don't have to build a deck ahead of time or do a lot of setup. And it doesn't take super long to play, which is nice as well.
No, it doesn't. And what's really cool now with the expansions, like before it was like a very generic starter, but now you can be the monk or the wizard, like you said, all those things.
More
so like,
options.
yeah, you can just, I think the first box, again, it's like a $20 box for like the original, like just starter set. And it's really good. And you can play it solo, right?
I was just going to ask, can you play it solo as well?
Can. Okay. Yeah, one-handed solo can be done for sure. So, yeah, it's a good pick.
Yeah, Hero Realms, number 5.
All right, so let's move on to number 4.
Okay, so I get to go first this time.
Yes.
For our 4th pick.
Yes.
All right, so this is a game that D20 bought, and I was convinced...
That doesn't limit it.
That's true. You've
That's
picked
all
every single one of our games. Let me continue.
Okay.
I thought I would hate it because it just seemed really silly. So that also describes a
all
lot
the
of
games. Yeah. Okay.
I don't have the best track record with actually looking forward to games that are new. But yeah, this one just looked pretty silly, and I wasn't quite sure when we were going to play it or how we were going to play it. It's called Sushi Go. I guess party version.
Sushi Go Party, yeah.
So he just pulls out this game, and he's like, I've heard so many great reviews. This sounds so much fun. And it's just like cute little different types of sushi on the box.
Yeah.
And I'm like, all right, let's see how this goes.
And you hate sushi.
I hate sushi. So right off the bat, I'm like, we're not in the realm of something that I even enjoy in real life. So this is going to be terrible. But we finally played it. Did we play it with other people for the first time?
Family.
Like
play with your family.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, I'm also
Non-gamers.
like, he's going to have to try and to explain this to my family. And this is not going to go well because it's going to be too complicated for them. And it wasn't. So I guess how to describe it is, I don't know. I might need help here. You can select from different courses, like different types of sushi and sashimi and dessert, and they affect how many points you get. So your goal in the game is to get like the most number of points at the end. And the way the game works is everyone starts with a deck of cards, and you can choose a card that you get to keep, and then you pass the deck to the next person. So I guess it's a
set
draw
collection
and pass type scenario.
Yeah.
So you don't exactly know what you're going to get because it's the leftovers from everyone else around you.
Yeah.
And you're trying to like collect 3 types of this sushi to get the most amount of points. Or if you're left with this card, then you might lose points because of it. And depending on which types of sushi you put out to play is how like the points can change as well. So your game can be different every time you play depending on which like appetizers or sushi or dessert that you pick. So that aspect keeps it fresh and a lot of fun. And it was very simple to learn for regular like intense gamers or people who are very new to board games or card games. It's a really fun party game because you can see what other people are trying to do and either try and hurt them by like collecting the same thing or just seeing other people make terrible decisions and kind of laugh at it. And I mean, it's just adorable. The artwork is so cute. So I think it's a popular game for pretty much anyone.
Yeah, and the set too, like it comes with a handful of cards, but like you're alluding to, there's so many different sets of cards. So like you can play the game like 5, 6 times and still not go through
Right.
everything, especially not the combinations. The combinations are insane of what you can do. But yeah, it was. I'm not a big party game guy, but it was a very enjoyable party game because there is skill to it. There's a lot more skill than I
Yes,
thought there was
yeah.
gonna be. So
And I guess because a party game is because you're like affected by what other people do as well. It's not just
yeah,
you
yeah.
trying to do the best that you can. Like it affects the people around you, which makes it more interactive and
Yeah,
fun
to
that
me,
way.
a lot of party games are very interactive first versus anything else, and it is a very
This was a
interactive
mix of
game.
that, yeah.
So yeah, it was a really good game. It's a good one.
I'm excited to play it again.
Yeah, I'm sure we will. All right, so my number 4 is a game you've never played.
Oh.
It's an absolutely phenomenal game. It's the most gorgeous game I own, I think, by far. It is a deck construction game. They recently came out with solo, somewhat recently. They have a PvP option, and that's how it was first known, and that is Ashes Reborn.
You showed me the artwork for this,
It's gorgeous,
and
right?
it was really nice.
Yeah, it's the prettiest artwork that
and
exists.
the box is cool.
Yeah, it's
I like the white background.
Yeah,
very, like,
it's
clean and
it's gorgeous
stylish.
what they did with it. So basically, the way the game works in PvP, you're just kind of going against. You have a Phoenixborn who's like your leader, and you have a deck of cards going against your opponent's leader, who's also Phoenixborn, and their deck of cards. And the way that the game works, basically, you roll a handful of dice, 10 dice, and that is what you use as resources. Then, moving forward, you can pay for those cards using the dice as resources. And it's a pretty interesting mechanic because there are ways to mitigate bad dice rolls, so you're not just stuck with a
Not
bad
just
roll.
luck.
Right.
Okay.
And on top of that, it's a lot of strategy, especially early out, of how much do I want to build out for future rounds versus just kind of be aggressive.
Do you actually build out in this game?
You have to. You have to. Or you get wrecked.
Wow.
It's not other games that we know of. But it's kind of cool too because there are certain cards that you have that are spells where you don't need to like to draw out allies. Basically, you can just play the spell that's already on your board. So you just pay for it and you draw it out from a deck, and it doesn't get shuffled in your discard pile. It goes into a separate deck. So it's really fun the way that works. And their solo mode is really hard, really challenging, but I think it's one of the best done solo modes to replicate like another opponent. They did a really good job.
Like
So-
as if you were playing someone real.
Okay. Yeah. So obviously it's a bit different feeling, but it does a really good job of it. And it's one of the few games where I could play other games on stream and play a handful of games and be like, okay. When I play Ashes Reborn and play one game, it feels like I play a game of chess. Like I'm mentally exhausted because it just takes so much out of you.
You like that?
I do. I love it. I love that strategy. I think it's so much fun. It's so enjoyable, and I'm happy that they keep supporting the solo expansions. It's definitely they've realized that there's a huge solo community there, so I'm really excited about that. So that is my
Great.
number 4, Ashes Reborn.
All right, on to number 3.
All right, to start off my number 3, a game is also a deck builder.
Okay,
All right, just like yours.
great.
But it's not Hero Realms. So it is a deck builder that was also introduced to me by the channel.
Nice.
It is one that I didn't think I would like at all.
Oh, it sounds like me.
Yeah. I thought it would be okay at best. And then I found out I really enjoy it. And I found out it's really fun. And it's really unique and interesting the way it works. And I found out they're just getting a second core edition, which is now Marvel Legendary. This game is, I think, a perfect deck builder with how much it has out there already. So for those that don't know, you start with a set hand every single time, right? Your starting hand's not going to change at all. And then as things come out into their market, or HQ as they call it, you can use cards to buy other cards to upgrade that go into your discard pile and they get shuffled back into your deck. Now with Legendary, what's fun is that it's fun to play all these different heroes from the Marvel universe, from the X-Men universe, from the Spider universe, right? Mix them together, and you can customize the game any way that you want. And that's, to me, the biggest thing, is I can have heroes from all over the place, villains from all over the place, a mastermind from a completely different world, and it just kind of creates its own story.
Is that like at the beginning when you get to select 5 different heroes? Okay.
Yeah. So
That is fun to get to choose.
yeah, and they if you don't select terrible together heroes, generally speaking, they all work really well together. So it's really fun the way that it works. It's fun that the way the villain works, and it's a simple like mechanic to run against the AI, the bot, whatever you want to call it, against the opponent of the board, right? It's just very simple drawing through it and going through the motions. There is a lot of keywords in the game, but they don't interact with each other too much, so it's really kind of easy to teach somebody the game. There isn't a lot of confusing rule sets. There's not things that contradict each other like other games that exist. So it's really nice. It's very streamlined, and it's kind of, I don't want to say it's simple because that sounds unfair to the game, but it's not as mentally taxing as other games, and that's refreshing for me. So.
And even like the villain that you choose, the mechanic did vary enough that it felt like you weren't just playing the same character, just like with a different name.
Yeah.
So it actually changed the way the game was played a bit, which was fun.
Yeah.
Some different villains against them.
And they try to make the heroes and villains fresh in mechanics and try to relate to them as theme-wise as they can. You can only do so much in the space. But also what they do with the main scheme, I don't think it's called a scheme. Yeah, no, it's scheme twist. So whatever it's called, the main scenario, the main scenario that happens, some of them change so much of the game. Like it feels like a completely different game with how the mechanics of those things work. So that part's really cool too. Is it can really affect different things. So
I liked it because the gameplay was very similar to Hero Realms.
Yeah.
So when you were trying to teach me it, he's like, well, you can think about it as a very similar game to when you're trying to make your deck better in Hero Realms, purchasing different things and keeping key cards that you can use with each other. So it was simple to pick up in that direction.
Instead of fantasy, it is superheroes.
That's wow. Yeah.
And that's it. So all right, Marvel Legendary. That is my number 3.
All right, my number 3 was introduced to me this year at the very beginning of the year.
Marvel Legendary.
That wasn't the very beginning.
That's true, it wasn't.
When I first started joining D20 on live streams, it has a similarity in that it is also Marvel related and is basically the main basis of D20's channel. Yeah. So my number 3 spot is Marvel Champions. Did you guess that? Based on the preview?
Yeah, but I saw the preview. I picked up what you're putting down.
So, like, I don't know the best way to explain it, because you just pick a superhero and you play against some villains. You gotta build a deck that D20 does for me.
That is like 90% of the game right there.
Living card game. Yes, got that right. LCG.
Yep. Trademark.
I didn't come up with that myself. I don't know if there's anything else you want to add. I'm sure most of our viewers are pretty familiar with Marvel
most people
Champions.
know what it is. It's a deck construction game where you build a hero. You have a 15 card set that you start with. So if you're playing Captain America, Captain America is always going to have those 15 cards. You pick different aspects depending on what you want to do. If you want to be really aggressive, you pick aggression. If you want to play defense, pick protection, justice for threat, and leadership for other heroes. And you go against an enemy, right? A villain
from the Marvel world.
Yes, and it's co-op, so it's not we're going against each other.
We can't play against each other, which was one of the reasons he thought I would like it as well, because we get to work together. And it's nice if you're playing with someone who knows what they're doing, because you just get to enjoy just like attacking things, and he takes care of everything else.
That's the secret.
So I like it for that reason. But so it's been, I didn't expect to like it, because once again, I hate learning new games. I knew this was pretty complicated. So it obviously has helped a lot that I still don't understand like 98% of the game.
But most people don't understand most of the game.
The parts that I understand, I really like. It's been fun to play specific characters from the Marvel Universe that I enjoy, like Thor and Captain America and people from Guardians of the Galaxy. I think I've played Gamora. So I like getting to pick characters that I'm familiar with. And the cards that are included with the character decks and the mechanics of how they work have been very well themed. So it feels like when you have when you have Thor, you have his hammer, Mjolnir. Thanks to chat who told me how to pronounce that. And like with Captain America, you have his shield, and those specific cards come out to play, and just really help with like the theming of the game. There's also super fun tokens.
Yes.
Which definitely contributes to my enjoyment of the game. Yes. Undeniably, really like the tokens and how they're used and like the hero boards and stuff. It feels like when we lay out Marvel Champions as a game, it's like the whole thing is like us invested in this world of Marvel, and we're like fighting together. I also love that the cards have like the flavor text on them.
I do.
Again, these are really important parts of the game and how it works. But you know what? As a casual player, those little things make such a difference to me. And when I think about like how I picked these, it's just games that I like look forward to playing and get really excited to play, and while we're playing, like just have a lot of fun with. I mean, like the flavor text has made me laugh out loud so many different times because it's just hilarious. So it just adds that little extra that kind of takes this game higher than a lot of other ones. So they've just really done a nice job with it, and it's just been a lot of fun to play. And gosh, the combinations are just endless. I feel like, I mean, I haven't still played 3 of the aspects out of 5.
Well, yeah. I guess that's true. I forget that pool is an aspect.
I know.
It's because it's in the trash.
I'm gonna try that soon.
Yeah, we'll try that.
And then, I mean, there's just like endless heroes and endless villains. So I mean, we could be playing this every night for a year probably and not go through all the combinations.
Yeah.
So it's always just fun to try and, try something new and know that I still have a lot out there that I can play. It keeps me excited about it.
I think I haven't done all the combinations out there.
Whoa, yeah.
Well, because like there's so many villains, you figure like every single hero running through every single villain, every single aspect. That's like 100 some plays right there for just one hero for every aspect through every villain, right? Like
I guess that's true because when you add in the
because you have to do like protection against all the villains, aggression for all the villains. Yeah.
I wonder if anyone's done it, like kept track.
Rumor has it there are people on Reddit that said they have.
Interesting.
Maybe they have, maybe they haven't. So.
Would you ever want to keep track of that?
Nope. Yeah, I used to, and I got really annoyed with trying to keep track because I felt like there's a weird pressure to like make it even and balance it out, and I just wanted to play what I want to play.
Yeah,
and I'd rather do that.
More fun.
So, yeah.
But yep. So that's my number 3 slot.
All right. So now moving on to number 2.
All right. I have to admit my number 2 and number 1 picks were
the same game.
No.
The game is that good.
That's hilarious. Though. No, they were very close together. It was a very tough decision trying to pick one versus the other. So I'm going to caveat that they could either fit into the top slot based on how fun they've been. But I think my number 1 just like ekes it out a little bit, and then I'll probably tell you why. The first thing that popped in my head into like why I picked that one as number 1. So my number 2 game is a recent discovery for both of us, and it is in a universe that we both really enjoy. It was someone, I think, on stream that told us to play it for the first time. You can fact check that, which is kind of how we started it. I don't know what else to say. It's SWU.
What's a SWU for those that don't know?
Oh, it's Star Wars Unlimited. I also did not know that like a month ago, but now I'm super into it, so we just call it that. Did someone introduce us to that on the Oh, really? I thought they convinced us to play it, and that's why you eventually did.
Never
mind.
I invested in it, and I said I just have a card sitting around. We should probably play this.
Cool. Never mind.
And you were like, I'm not learning another game.
And then we got tokens, and I was like, well, okay, I guess I want to learn another game. And a sweet dial.
Yeah, they're pretty sweet.
So Star Wars Unlimited, not to be confused with
Star Wars Deck
Builder,
or Star Wars TCG, or Star Wars CCG, or Star Wars Destiny, or Star Wars. I think there's more. There's more. I'm sure I'm getting some wrong too.
That's insane.
This
is the only one you should play, though.
Yeah.
I have not played any of the other ones, but I like this one so much. I'm just gonna flat out say that. So Star Wars Unlimited is a
deck
construction game in the Star Wars universe, and you TCG, which is a trading card game?
Yeah.
Let's go. Is that because you can... Okay, so is that because you crack packs and can sell things and, like, trade with people?
Yeah, I'm sure. Right. Yeah, sounds good to me.
It is also the first game for which I have cracked packs, which...
Super enjoyable.
have discovered is very fun, especially when you get, like, really expensive cards.
Yeah. It does help.
So, highly enjoy that. But yeah, so the actual gameplay is fairly unique in that when you're playing against each other, you have units that you're using to try and like attack the other person's base. So it's like a location from Star Wars, and there's 2 components to it where you can have units in space or units on the ground. And I like that complexity because it's more complicated than just being able to attack like any person, or that person has to be like not ready or readied or whatever it is. So like in Star Wars Unlimited, the space has to attack another space unit, or the ground has to attack another ground unit. So it adds an extra level to the game, and like strategy wise makes it more complicated to play because you have to keep an eye on just like multiple parts of the board essentially to know where attacks are coming from or who you need to focus on. So I like that aspect that it's a little bit more complicated than say Lorcana, where you just kind of have everyone out at once and can only attack certain people. Plus there's obviously the added component of the base, because that's what ultimately will win you the game. But you have to decide, do I want to attack the base and just keep doing damage there, or do I want to attack like this X-Wing fighter that keeps doing damage to me in return? So there's a
okay. Did happen.
There was one game we played where his space units just destroyed me.
Just one ship out there, just going pew 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 pew.
I'm still bitter about that
she
to
didn't
this
know
day
what to do.
because I didn't have
All
any space units in my deck.
All the ground units are just staring up and going, I don't know what to do with that one.
Like watching, like, man, we should probably shoot that down, but we can't.
And it's just pew pew.
I also really like that you get to draw 2 cards every round, so you get through a lot more of your deck. You get to see a lot more cards. So again, like when compared to Lorcana, that type of gameplay is just more fun for me because I like seeing more cards and having more options. And it just feels more thematic that way because you're not relying as much on luck because you get to pick and choose more and like decide what's going to become a resource versus what you actually want to play like on the table. So I have been incredibly impressed with this game. Kind of came out of nowhere. Like I guess you've had it for a while, but I think it took us both by surprise with how much we enjoyed playing it. And again, like they're still coming out with new characters and new boxes and expansions and all of that. So we're going to be playing this for a long time, and we're going to get more booster packs, and we're going to keep opening them and finding exciting cards.
And everybody's happy.
Everybody's happy. So yeah, so that's my number 2.
All right, so my number 2 is also a game that took me by surprise, and I was really kind of shocked by it.
Is it SWU?
Well, it's a game that I thought wasn't going to be as good as it was. It was a game I didn't understand how good the artwork was really bad in it, and the gameplay didn't really necessarily make sense. And before we go over this, I want to reiterate, we did not talk about each other's lists beforehand. But yeah, my number 2 is Star Wars on the Moon.
Yes, that's so exciting. I was wondering if we would have. So this is our first overlap at all.
So far, yeah.
Yeah, and it happened to be the same number 2.
Yeah.
That's so fun.
It's such a good game. It's so well done. Yeah. It's amazing. And like, it still shocks me to this day how good it is, because I mean, I like One Piece, I like Lorcana, like I like those games, but everything that like I nitpick wrong with those games, SWU does better. Yeah, it's already fixed for us in that game, and it's so well done in that sense. And I love the idea thematically of in space versus on the ground. I think that's such a cool idea in general, and it's just well balanced. Like you said, you draw 2 cards. You start with more resources on the table than most TCGs do. Yeah. Because I think you start with 2 on the table.
You can choose to put 2 down.
Yeah, and it's just like the other games, like you're starting with 0, putting 1 in your first turn.
Takes a while to get going.
And it feels like the games are faster paced because of that. And the way the leader works with the special action and flips out, like that's incredibly cool. And that you use it, and even if like you lose that leader, they pop down to like their normal side, and you can still use their special ability, which is just really nice. It's really well done.
It feels like whenever you finally get to the point where you use the leader, it feels like the game has changed.
Yeah.
Like you're watching a movie and all of a sudden this is like when the action gets really intense. And like it's almost always toward the end of the game as well, because you need a lot of resources to put the leader into play for you. Yeah. And the leader can do an absolute ton of damage and all of that. So it's kind of like that build up, and then you use him, and then it's kind of just like the denouement after that. So even thematically, when you think about the movies or just in general, like watching something or playing something, it builds up to that huge action, and then you get to go through that enormous fight then, and then kind of like it concludes from there. So even that aspect is so much fun.
Well, and it leads to a crazy amount of strategy, because there are times that like I know you can do your epic action and flip the leader, and I have to think about, okay, I have to make sure certain people are upright still, because I need to take out that leader, and now I can't focus on your base. I can't focus on other things. Like
you're prepping.
It's so much fun the way that it does. So it's
something that we have, like, again, don't see anywhere else. that aspect specifically with the leader is not in any other.
Not ones that we play.
That we played at least.
I know people are a lot of people out there are against TCGs. I think even if you just get the boost or the starter packs, I think they're well worth the investment. The starter decks are a lot of fun.
We've only played with the starter deck so far.
Yeah, we haven't.
And I mean, we're talking about this with this much enthusiasm just based on the starter decks.
Yeah, it's so well done. I mean, it's such a good game. So anyway, that is our number 2.
So for our final round, D20 will be sharing his first.
As I've just learned, because I don't know how numbers.
We just talked about that for a while.
Or alternation works. Actually, it's actually probably really good that I'm going first between the two of us for one.
Yours is pretty guessable. Is that why? Do you want me to guess right now? Marvel Champions.
Yeah. So it's as simple as that.
What a surprise!
I mean, go ahead.
Well, okay, I'm gonna comment on, like, I knew you really liked the game, and it's obviously the game you play most, but I wasn't sure if it would be, like, actually at the top, especially with SWU in there that we've enjoyed much more recently. So it's interesting that after all of these games that we've discovered this year, that it is still your number 1.
It is. It used to be lower when we only had, like, I think the last time I did a top 10 list or whatever was like 2 years ago or something like that. I think it was like number 3 or 4 or something like that. I don't really remember what. But at the time we only had like 2 big boxes, right? And one of them was Guardians Most Wanted or Galaxy's Most Wanted, which wasn't exactly their best effort. And since then the game has really expanded. It's gotten a lot better. It was good back then, but it's even better nowadays. And Caleb Grace is really hitting his stride with the design of the game. Michael Boggs' stuff is phenomenal. I mean, they've done such a great job with the game overall. Even with all the X-Men stuff, like, I'm not a huge X-Men person, but it's still really good. Yeah. Like, it's still really fun. Like, the theming and the new mechanics that they do, they hit on it every single time. It's incredibly well done. And I know a lot of people make comments about that with live streams. Like, hey, do you actually, like, enjoy this game a lot? It's like, no, I do. Like, I wouldn't just play the game if I didn't enjoy it. I would force you all to watch another game I really enjoyed. I figured it out.
That's what I was curious too, because you play it so often. Like, sometimes when you play games a lot, you just get tired of them. Yeah. And I know you mix other things in, and we obviously play a lot of different types of games too. But it's pretty cool that with the amount that you play it, it's still your number 1 game.
Yeah.
And I bet it's because of the tokens.
It's because of the tokens.
The pumpkins.
It's the pumpkins. Let's be honest. The tokens from Buy the Same Token are absolutely phenomenal. But
also, no, that's really neat that it's still your number 1.
Well,
after all this time.
And kind of what we talked about when it was on your list is just that it's almost impossible to play all the combinations. Yeah. So it never, especially nowadays, it's always slightly different. Yeah. And even if I play here in a certain aspect, I go, could have done that aspect slightly different too, because within each aspect, like if you run aggression, you could do a rush aggression, you can do an ally swarm aggression, you can do a minion build aggression. Like, there's so many different like metas inside the aspect now that it's impossible to do all of it.
Yeah. Well, I know sometimes you get frustrated too. This has happened when we played it together, because you know what you can accomplish with certain heroes, but there's still an aspect of luck in it, depending on what you draw or like what the villain does against you at certain times. So you can still get in really bad situations and be like, man, I could have played this a lot better, and it stinks that it didn't go that direction. So you still have an aspect of you don't know what's going to actually happen during the game. It's not like, okay, if I play this hero against this villain, I'm guaranteed to win.
And there have been legit games when we've played and we've lost, and you're like, oh, this was a lot of fun. I was like, you don't understand what the villain just did.
I'm like, why are you so upset?
The villain, it's 7
turns. It's okay to lose. He's like, no, shouldn't have happened this way.
Well, it's just like we would, like, the villain would pull for 7 rounds in a row the 7 worst possible cards. And I'm like, this isn't like a mathematical thing that can happen, and only in my games could this ever happen. Yeah. And like stuff like that drives me nuts. But again, it's really quick to set up. It's quick to tear down. It's quick to get going again. So it's just, unlike, like, I like Arkham Horror and Lord of the Rings a lot, but there's a lot of setup to that. There's a lot of like prep work to that. Marvel Champions just gets on the table.
Do you like the deck building aspect ahead of time as well, or is that something you don't enjoy as much, like creating decks for certain people? I'm just curious if that's part of what you like, or if it's more of just like the playing piece that you
more of the playing. It's more like a puzzle deck. I'm not a big deck construction guy. Okay. I don't think I'm not as good as other people are, for sure. And that's just like, even with SWU, like I have a hard time like wrapping my head around that, or Lorcana and whatever. But because Marvel Champions starts with that 15 core cards for your hero, it makes it much easier.
Okay.
So, like, I mean, I've built decks in Lord of the Rings. They are trash. I mean, they just go straight in the garbage, dumpster fire, never seen again. And, like, I will get annihilated on the easiest scenarios because I'm that bad. But Marvel Champions...
the deck is, like, affecting it so much.
Yeah, it's so bad. Okay. And then Marvel Champions, though, you start with that 15 core. And now that I've played the game, like, 2,000 times. Yeah. In my head, I know, okay, this will work, this won't work, and I have a pretty good idea.
For SWU, do the characters start with a specific deck in a similar fashion?
Oh, you build it however you want.
Oh, so SWU doesn't have specific cards that go with certain leaders.
Nope.
Interesting.
Nope. Okay. The colors have to match, but that's it.
Okay.
So,
Is it? And I guess Lorcana doesn't have like a leader at all. So Lorcana is kind of just anything.
Just needed 2 colors.
Yeah.
So,
okay.
Yeah. So anyway.
Yeah, I didn't realize that was a kind of a unique aspect to Marvel Champions, that you're always going to have those specific cards with that specific
Helps with the deck building a lot. Okay. I think for a lot of people, it gets them into deck construction.
Because you're not doing the whole thing. You got like a starting point.
Because you have a starting point, and really you have to pick out 25 cards to complement it. Okay. So anyway, Great. Marvel Champions, number 1.
Number 1. All right. So my number 1 pick, again, is a game that we just discovered somewhat recently, and I know I mentioned that it was very similar to SWU with how much I've enjoyed it, but I've won this one more often, which might be why it's the top.
Yeah.
It was on D20's list, shockingly at the bottom, but my
top 5.
I mean, it deserves more than that.
I've played 7 million games, and it's number 5.
Out of my like 10 that I'm working from, it is at the top. But yeah, so my number 1 is Unmatched. We have played it multiple times now with a variety of different villain people. What are they called?
Heroes.
Characters?
Yeah.
Some are villains, some are heroes. I don't really understand it.
If they win, they're all heroes.
Bloody Mary, she's a hero.
She's a hero now. Turns out she's a good guy.
To me, just everything about this game is top notch, from the artwork on the cards to the little people that you get and how insanely detailed they are for the characters, to the way the board works. And some of them have like tokens that you could put on that affect the game. Some of them have specific ways you can move around the board. So even the board changes from expansion box to expansion box. To the theming of Unmatched for the characters and their decks is, to me, by far better than anything else that I've played. And from like the name of the cards down to the artwork down to like the actual mechanics of the character fits perfectly with each person, and it just makes it incredibly fun to play, because you're like, man, I am Houdini right now and I am doing exactly the things that he would be doing in this scenario. And I just love that so much. I mean, also I'm a reader, my name is Novels, and they have a bunch of literary characters, so I feel like I'm getting to play with characters that I'm familiar with. And then like D20 gets to play with Marvel people that he gets really excited about. So the breadth of like variety in their characters also makes it a lot of fun, because I feel like it appeals to a lot of different people, and you can pick and choose which ones are like most important to you. Like I really want to get the Shakespeare deck, or the Shakespeare box, and like you're excited about the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles box, and then at some point, like so far we've only played the people that are in their boxes together, but at some point like Donatello can go up against William Shakespeare, and that's just hilarious to me to like see how they could possibly work together. So it kind of, I mean, it's not as obviously as expansive as Marvel Champions with the types of combinations you can do, but between the different characters and the different types of boards that you can play, there are still a lot of combinations as well. And everything is just really high quality too. It
is really high quality.
Which we didn't talk about before, but like the dials that come with it and the little characters are obviously like fantastic. If you're really into painting them and want to do that for us. But I've seen some people that have painted them and they just look phenomenal that way too. And like the board and the tokens that come with it as well, like right out of the box, it's a fantastic game where you don't need to upgrade anything. It feels like it's going to last a long time. And again, like you said, it's a very easy introduction game. It didn't take long to explain, which was really nice. It's very straightforward in terms of the actual gameplay and like reading through the rules. There's not a lot of extra like keywords even or things like that. It's like you have a deck and all of the cards tell you exactly what you can do with that deck, with maybe a couple rules references throughout, but it's not complicated, which as a newer player is really nice. And yeah, I mean, if you want to talk about which game is just the most fun to play, it is by far Unmatched for me. And
it's one of those things, like, what's interesting to me is I can teach you it sitting down like the first time you're playing, right? Like really, really easy, first 10 minutes. But to master that game, I feel like it's gonna take us a long time to master the character because like we get the rough idea the first go around, even the second go around. Like you're getting more and more, but there is just so much nuance to every single hero, and the way their deck works, I think is really, really well done by them. I also really enjoy when you're discussing this, talking about how I'm playing all the cartoon characters basically, and you're playing the literary adults. Just like D20 is a small child and likes the turtles, and I'm over here with
like a literature professor. Yeah. Maybe that's why I'm winning all the time.
I know. The problem is I need Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and Bruce Lee. That's what we'll do. It.
True.
So once we figure out that, we'll be good to go.
Yeah.
So.
But no, you make a good point about the strategy and even. Like we've only really played each character against each other once, like maybe twice at the beginning as well. So since each character has such a different mechanic, the way you play against them is going to be very different. So you're going to have to analyze what the other character can do and kind of figure it out. And it's simple enough that I can even recognize like, okay, you've played this card once already, and I know you have 2 in your deck. So it could come out again. So I need to watch out for that. And I remember someone saying that of like, you kind of get to know the other person's cards as well, because it's not a huge deck, and there's maybe like 10 or 11 different types of cards in each deck roughly. So you can use that as a strategy also, where you're like, all right, he's played 3 of this one already, so he's not going to get that again. So I know that I can use this type of attack, or avoid this consequence, because I just know by deduction that he's not going to be able to defeat it or defend against it. So, and then how you move around the board is very important, and using certain cards or discarding them, there's a lot that comes into play for such a simple game. So it's easy for beginners, but also can be taken to the next level for people that want to like keep playing it.
Yeah, agreed.
It's just so good.
It is a good game.
So much fun. And it's quick. Like we've played our games in like 30 minutes or less.
Yeah,
probably,
half an hour tops.
Which is great.
Which is good.
Perfect amount of time. It doesn't feel like it goes too fast. It doesn't drag on.
No. Quick setup, quick teardown. Yeah. Just plop everything in box, take everything out.
Yeah.
Good to go.
I'm even allowed to put it away because there's like certain places that each thing goes in the box. Every other game I'm not allowed to touch.
Because there are certain... Okay. Now we need to explain this to chat.
So like I can help out. It makes me feel really good.
Because anyone that plays a card game knows that there's an organization to your cards. Yeah, well, now you've brought this on. So they need to be in certain places so that when you draw them in the future, you know what it is. Or I can buy dividers for every single little thing.
And the cards go behind the dividers.
No, don't ever do that. That's not how dividers were meant. It's not how they were used.
I know there's some people out there that like them behind the dividers.
Yeah, they probably exhaust their cards too by physically turning sideways.
That's the best way to do it. Who needs space on the board?
Makes no sense anyway. Hopefully you enjoyed our top 5 list. This was fun doing.
I agree.
So this was really good. And like we said, make sure you go down and let us know what you think about our lists or what you agree or disagree with. But also put your list down there because maybe there's new games.
Or new games that you think we should play based on what you know that we like now.
Yeah. Especially with Arkham Horror, she's a huge fan of.
No. So. We need to do our least favorites, and mine will just be Arkham Horror.
There you go. Yeah, that could be a thing.
Sorry.
So. Anyway, appreciate you all being here. Thank you for watching this video, and we will see you all next time.